Jonathan Turley is a particularly distinguished professor at George Washington University Law School, and he joins us tonight. Professor, thanks for coming on.
Thanks.
So that's kind of the essence of the whole debate, is to what extent should public policy be guided by the public's views in a democracy? And obviously there are mediating structures, the Congress, the judiciary, the executive, but basically if you get too far from what the public wants, it's not democracy, is it?
Well, we of course live in a representative democracy.
Right.
You elect people to make decisions for you, but you hopefully won't have too much of a disconnect at the end of the day between the policies being pursued. Ultimately, those laws have to be written by people who are political representatives.
Exactly.
And that means that the courts must retain a fairly narrow role in this system. Otherwise, the system doesn't work. You know, Madison created a system by which factional interests would sort of roll around between the legislative and executive branch, particularly in Congress, and out of that would come what's called a majoritarian compromise. So we work out our differences. That system only works if there's no alternative to that system. If you start to make decisions, for example, in the courts that are really political decisions, it takes the Madisonian system offline. And that's what has given us a stability. You know, you have countries like France that went through constitutions with almost a seasonal regularity, and they were very unstable. Ours has been stable. You can say a lot of things about problems that we have, but we're still here. We've gone through incredible pressures and periods, and we're still here. And it's largely due to the fact that we all have sort of skin in the game. We all know that if we respect the political system, that it's worth working for change.
Yes.
Right.
Well, I agree with that completely. And I have always believed in our system, and I want to believe in it. But if you have judges who clearly aren't even making a good faith effort to pretend that their decisions correspond to the text of the Constitution, then don't the rest of us have a right to say something about that?
Well, I think that there's no problem with criticizing the courts, and every president in modern times has taken the courts to task, and they've all pledged to change the courts on the left or the right. That's a natural part of the process. There are times when you cross the line.
I agree.
You know, the president's criticism of the ethnicity of that one judge crossed the line.
I hated that.
I
agree with you. I hated that. But that doesn't mean that if a judge doesn't see the right to bear arms, which is written explicitly in the Bill of Rights, but somehow imagines, you know, the right to abortion, which of course is nowhere to be found, doesn't that raise, I mean, we take that for granted, but it's very common. Doesn't that raise the question, like, what? Where does that come from?
Look, I think that people of good faith can disagree on these issues.
Yes?
I think issues of the Second Amendment, abortion, these are all penumbral issues, although the Second Amendment is expressed, but in terms of abortion, the court refers to it as a sort of a penumbral right. And we can disagree about those things, and we can do so civilly. But there's no problem with citizens or a president saying, that's just not what the law says. That's not what we created as a free people.
Right, and we're in charge. George Stephanopoulos does not like it if you say that, though, so just keep that in mind if you dare. Professor, thank you.
Thank you.